P Fits is Robin Gaming!
What's up, little boys, little toys? It's your boy, P Fits is Robin. Follow me on all the socials, Instagram, YouTube, Twitch, Snapchat if you're lucky. I'm here at making a YouTube video for you guys. It's been a long time. You guys may know me from my podcast, Ring the Bell. You may know me from Twitch, gaming, P Fits is Robin, or some of my other YouTube videos. But like I said, it's been a long time. Where have I been? Everyone's wondering. I've been playing this game called Deadlock. As you can see in the background, it has absolutely consumed me. I have over 1,600 hours in Deadlock. I'm closing in on my 900th win, and I wanted to talk a little bit about it today. I started off at the very bottom of this game, and I know that a lot of new players are coming in as the game is approaching open beta at the end of the year. So I wanted to make something to kind of show how I climbed in the ranks to become an above average player. I currently sit at Phantom 5, and I'm trying to make my push to Ascendant as well as Eternus. So what is Deadlock? Well, Deadlock is a MOBA third-person shooter. It is unlike any other game I've played before. I've played competitive Valorant, where I was an average player reaching plat and diamond levels. I played Call of Duty for a long time, playing both Warzone and Search and Destroy competitively. I was never a professional gamer, nor do I think I have the skill set to be so, but what I do love is just gaming. And not only that, I love winning in games. I don't think anybody enjoys the act of losing. So I'm here to help you today for you new players, just to give you some tips and tricks on what I did to climb up from the very bottom of Initiate to where I am now in Phantom. If you're looking for a video on how to get out of Phantom and go to Oracle and into Eternus, I'm sorry, this isn't the video for you. I also am looking for those answers and trying to improve myself to get there. But there are plenty of other content creators that are much better than me to get you to those skill sets. However, for the new player, I really think that there is something lacking in all those other videos, because unlike a lot of those players, I did not come from any games that were like this. I never played Dota, I never played League of Legends. The only skill set I had that translated in this game was that I was able to aim from Valorant and Call of Duty. So, what is Deadlock? Deadlock is just an immensely good game by Valve that is currently being developed and is always changing. A lot of the stuff you may see in this video may not make it to the final version of the game, because I can tell you when I first started a year ago, the game has changed dramatically. It's gone from different iterations with new heroes, new map changes. At one point it was 4 lanes, now it's 3, but here we are. So how do you start and how do you play Deadlock? Deadlock currently is only on PC through Steam, and it is invite only. You need to have someone that is already in the game send you an invite to play the game. If you are interested and you're watching this video, I'll link all my socials down below and access to my Discord server. Feel free, and I will be more than happy to send you a link to start playing the game. When you first load into Deadlock, you're going to be into a hub world where you're going to be able to move around and test out some characters. I highly suggest spending a good amount of time in there, especially before you load into your first game, so you can get an understanding of which characters you like. It is very important to play a character when you start off that plays well to your skill set. I play a lot of gun characters and a lot of weapon-based characters because that's what I was good at. I'm good at aiming and I'm good at understanding what needs to happen on the map. I'm not good at AoE and crowd control stuff. That's just not what I do. I'm not good at being a support healer or anything like that. I can do it if I need to, but it's not particularly the best use of my skills. So when you want to start your first game, it's going to have you select 3 characters. The reason being so is that there is a priority system, but when you have no games underneath your belt, it's going to give you any one of those 3 random characters. So try to pick a slew of characters that are interesting to you, that you're going to have fun, because when you first start out, Deadlock can be quite a long game for your first game. Most average low rank games start off at end up being about 50 minutes to an hour long, which is insanely long and crazy. It makes all those memes about League of Legends and Dota really make a lot more sense for someone that hasn't played a whole lot of them. So you pick your characters, and you're gonna want to pick a build first. You can go into the build browser and select a build. I highly suggest reading through them and understanding what it is that they're asking you to buy. There's descriptions on every item. There are some hidden things, but for the most part, they do a great job of explaining it. There's something about pre-builds that I don't really like. I don't know if it's my ego or if it's that the playstyle, but I find that a lot of big creators builds I don't play well with. But the only thing that I can really think of is that those builds are built for their set of skills. So as I said, starting off, you're gonna definitely want to use one. There's no way you're gonna be able to go into a game and understand everything if you've never played it before. But start making mental notes of what items you really like and what items suit well to how you play in your play style. Because eventually you're going to want to tailor any build to optimize the best opportunity that you give your team based on how you play and what your individual skill sets are. There's some bigger things and minor things to start learning in Deadlock. Most importantly is understanding what macro is, how you're supposed to move around the map, what you're supposed to be doing. There's no point in a Deadlock game where you should be sitting underneath a tower or walker and just waiting for an enemy team to come to you. You should always be trying to either get souls through pushing the wave, by doing boxes, clearing farms, or pushing an objective, or ganking other players. These are all things that you should actively be doing so you're not just sitting still and you're falling further and further behind. So you've picked your characters, you're loading into the game. What now? Well, you're going to start off in what we call the laning phase. Now, I have a couple quick tips that I learned. It was a struggle for me to learn, but as you start understanding what each character does and who their good matchups are, you want to start to identify where in the laning, whether it's in the middle lane or the two outer lanes, does the matchup favor you the best. So I mostly play a character called Hayes. She is a mid-range to close range DPS style character, and certain characters she struggles against, characters like Vindicta or Grey Talon or even a Mirage, characters that can sit further back and still do massive amount of damage outside of her optimal damage range. So picking a lane is important, and a lane partner is important to both play off each other and exuberate each other's skills and power spikes. There are a couple different differences in Deadlock compared to other MOBAs and other hero shooters. There's no actual like queue or roles in this game. Every character can pretty much build anything they want, but there is a caveat to that. There is certain styles of play that benefit characters tremendously. As you can see in the background, this is one of my recent games that I've played, and I'm laning with a Kelvin. Kelvin and Hayes are a very strong lane. Hayes is a more DPS style initiator character. She likes to either start the fight or come into a fight halfway through and end the fight, whereas Kelvin is a multitude of different roles. Depending on what the actual team needs him to be, he can go straight spirit damage and become a spirit nuker. He has an ability with his ice beam that can be more of a CC support character, or his snowballs that can become a healing support character. He also is incredibly tanky in the late game and can be utilized as a hybrid tank character. Like I said, there's no cues for this. Not every player you're going to play against or with is going to understand this right away. So it's important to communicate with each other in the laning phase to see what kind of build that they're going for, what kind of play style they're going for, and maybe you need to alter, or maybe they need to alter to give you guys the best opportunity to win the lane. You also want to look at, if you are playing a more dual or triple role character like a Kelvin, look at your team comp. As you can see here, we have a Paige that's already has a healing ability with herself, with her overshields. Same thing with Kelvin with his snowballs. If we didn't have one or the other, it would almost always be more advantageous for that support character with the innate healing ability to go into a more healing role. Now, Is that going to change every game? Are you going to win every game because that's guaranteed? No, that's not what I'm here to tell you. But I'm going to tell you that you're going to have a more enjoyable time with the game if you do so, or if you communicate with your team to understand what's going on. I've won plenty of games with more glass cannon style characters, or people building only into weapon damage and having no real support roles, but it is incredibly harder to win those games. And why would you want to win a game that's harder? I mean, why would you want to make the game harder than it already is? It already takes a huge amount of skills to be good at this game. Make it as simple for yourself and other players that you're with to have an enjoyable time and win games. In Deadlock, while you're laning, the beginning stage, you want to take the enemy's team tower and gather souls as quickly as possible. Now, there's going to be lanes where you lose, and there's going to be lanes where you win early. It's important to understand that you want to go and help other lanes when it's accessible, but also you don't want to stay there too long in another lane. Because Deadlock has currently a system where, depending on how many people are on your team and are in one lane, the souls get divided among them. So having 2 people in a lane means you're getting 50% of those souls from that lane, or having 1 person in the lane means you have 100% of the souls. That also means 3 people will be 33%, and it scales from there. I don't believe that those are the exact numbers, but it's something similar to that. So if you're not able to go and help a lane and actively either get a kill or take the tower quickly, and you're just kind of hanging out there in a stagnant way, it might be more beneficial to go do something else, like running boxes or doing camps or going to help actually a different lane. Most of the time you'll notice that a lot of the carry characters or the DPS style characters prefer to be in a lane by themselves after the laning stage, because they want to absorb as many souls as they can to get to that late game status where they're the most powerful and the most impactful. But they can also run around the map. Hayes is tremendously good at becoming an assassin type character and getting ganks and getting kills. So what is it that you actually need to do to be more successful in the laning stage? Well, one, like I said, identify how your matchups work, making sure that you're communicating with your teammate that you have all your teammates, so you have a healer role or a CC role or a DPS role or an objective damage role. Try to build a good team, because in Deadlock it's impossible to counter every kind of hero you're going to see. What is it next after the laning stage? Well, you're going to get into what we call the power spike roles. So an easy way to understand power spikes and a quick identifier is when any character puts 2 ability points into a specific ability, that ability is now going to have the biggest jump on impact that it has throughout the game. So most Haze players will build into fixation first, and so at 2 stacks in fixation, you know that she's going to do a lot more damage and be able to do more sustained damage as she's building stacks. So you might want to play Weary if you are behind in souls and you see that she has that. As you gain souls, you're also going to get boons, which give you permanent buffs, and it's always important to spend your souls when you can. There's 2 ways you collect souls in this game. You have normal souls and unsecured souls. Anytime you die with a bag of unsecured souls, it will be dropped on the map where anybody can steal. So going into a farm for a long time or running boxes, those are all unsecured souls. But clearing the waves will give you secured souls. So even if you die, those souls are still yours to spend. So it's really important when you see your bag filling up to maybe either go and buy something before you jump into that team fight, or letting your team know, hey, I need to play a little cautious, I have a big bag. Because what ends up happening, if you drop a lot of big bags, you're giving the other team free souls, and you're making them inherently stronger. So after the lane, what are you to do? Well, as you can see, after our laning stage, I'm over here farming. I'm trying to get as many souls as I can to get to my next power spike. There's a little graph on the left side of your items that show how much total souls you spent in a specific area of the 3 main, which is weapon damage, casting or spirit, or vitality. Once you reach a 4.8k threshold in any of those items or any of those groups, that group will now have a huge power spike buff. So if you notice that your lane matchup is preferable where the other team doesn't do a lot of beginning damage, you may want to build into your weapon or your casting first. But if you see that the lane matchup is unfavorable for you, you may want to build into your vitality first so that you can have a little more sustainability and make it a harder lane for them to win right out. There's also other ways in Deadlock to get power spikes. I just grabbed a bridge buff, which grants me an additional weapon buff for a duration of time. This is a great way to then have a power spike against the enemy team because you didn't do anything to get it other than punch the bridge buff. So you want to protect those bridge buffs and take them as soon as possible. You mostly want to go and try to find a fight when you do so. You want to take advantage of it. But remember, if you die with a bridge buff, next time you spawn, you no longer have that buff, and it is on a cooldown. There's also something called the Sinner Sacrifices. These are the little vending machines or slot machines as people call them, and you punch them until the lights light up at the top. Upon the last light lighting up in a well-timed heavy melee, you will get 4 additional permanent buffs. So these are very important to take throughout the game. Stealing them from your enemy can not only grant you with increased power, but stops them from becoming as powerful. So what is some ways to actually get the game? The higher you rank up in Deadlock, you're going to notice that the games are a little bit quicker. You're going to see that at low ranks, most games go about 50 minutes to an hour. But once you reach Oracle or Phantom or Ascendant or Eternus, the games will normally be about a half hour long. The reason why is a lot of players understand that the longer the game goes, the more souls the carry characters can farm, the stronger and more intolerable they become at the end or late game. So they will actively be pushing their waves and towers so that they can end the game as quickly as possible. To win a game at Deadlock, you want to eliminate all the objectives on the map from the enemy team. So you have the initial laning walker or tower, then you have a walker, you have a base guardian for each lane, you have 2 shrines in the final area, and then 2 forms of the final patron. Whoever eliminates all that before the other team will win the game. Every game in Deadlock is ranked, so more than likely you're not going to get into a low rank game with high ranked players. It's not impossible, as anybody can queue with anybody currently, but the way the matchmaking works is that your team is given an average rating and it's going to be comparable to the other team's average rating. There are some pros and cons to that. Like I said, if you have friends that are just starting, you can go into and play with them, but just know that you're going to make the game incredibly harder for them to learn, only because they're going to be pulled into a higher rank lobby. This is all subject to change. Deadlock is constantly updating. The game looks so much different than it did before, and there's always new heroes and tweaks coming in. I will link my Discord server below, and you can feel free to follow where all the updates are posted, as Deadlock does a great way through their Deadlock forums to show us what changes they're making throughout the game. And Valve listens to us as a community, so if you see something that you may think needs to be changed, take the shot, give it out to Yoshi, make a YouTube video, do whatever you can do, because they may change it. Most recently, a player thought that the Lash parry looked kind of odd, and they changed it and they made it look more fitting to Lash and his lore. So how do you get to that end game state and secure the win? Because the only thing that matters in ranked is winning. You either rank up because you won or you rank down because you lost. It doesn't matter if you were the best player or MVP 100 times. All that matters is if you won. So the best and easiest way I can tell you is to always be communicating with your team. You don't need to tell every little detail that you're doing on the map, but if you see something on the map, call it out. Say, hey, somebody's pushing yellow lane or somebody's pushing green lane. Why don't we take the advantage either by split pushing this lane or going and gank somebody out of position? How do you gain position in Deadlock? Well, by pushing the waves. I will forever tell people to scream at them. I will scream at them to push the waves. It is the most important thing in Deadlock, is to have map control. If you do not have map control, you have less visibility on the map to know where the enemy is, as well as you're allowing them to sit in your jungle and being able to gank you from a safer spot. So by pushing the waves, and doesn't always mean running right up to the walker and shooting it, but making sure that the waves are clear and that you have a wave advantage. You have more minions on the map in a lane than the other team does. You also get more souls for doing so because you're clearing more waves than they are, and you're collecting those souls even if your minions are killing their minions. So what are some other simple mechanics that I learned that Deadlock doesn't really tell you that allowed me to accelerate my gameplay from Initiate all the way up to Phantom 5 where I currently sit? Well, I play a lot of gun characters. There is a mechanic in the game where while you're sliding, you are granted unlimited ammo. While being granted unlimited ammo, you have two very huge abilities and power that the other team doesn't. As you have unlimited ammo, you can sustain more fire for a longer rate of time and do more damage before having to reload, as well as while they're reloading their gun, you do not need to. So take advantage of gaining momentum and sliding downstairs at any time you can, as well as, dashing and sliding. Try to keep some dashes in reserve, as it is a great way to get away from sticky situations, but this will help tremendously. Even while farming camps, this mechanic still works and allows you to farm a lot quicker and more effectively. You want to always, like I said, be collecting souls. There should never be a time in Deadlock where you're sitting underneath a walker or waiting for the enemy team just to come to you. Take the advantage, push something, go run boxes, do whatever you can to get more souls to spend and get yourself stronger throughout the game. You want to go and do boxes and centers and bridges, but also steal the enemy camp. If you notice that you won your lane and it's still pretty early, stealing the enemy's camp can do two things. You're denying them souls, but you're also making yourself stronger and making it harder for them to come back from. Now, you shouldn't spend the whole game in camp, and you need to communicate when you're doing so. If you're behind, say, hey guys, I'm a little behind, I'm gonna farm for a minute just to get myself caught up. And that will allow your team to play a little more passively so that they're not going into a team fight with a man down. There's a lot to this game, and some of the things you just need to go ahead and play. You're gonna learn that there's a build browser. You're gonna see that there's different builds, and some players will tell you that this is the greatest build that's ever been there, or this is the strongest build, and that may all be true. But it is important to understand when you're building your character out throughout this game, this is a MOBA, every single match will play out differently, and you're going to need to either buy counter items, or you're going to need to buy different items that will allow you to have a more advantageous matchup. But most importantly, when you're creating a build or you're starting off, try to remember what items are core items. So a core item on Haze may be some spirit items. Haze's ultimate will last longer the more she spends in spirit investing. So only spending weapon may make her strong, but she may not have the sustainability, as she has no green items or no purple items to make her ult last longer, and people can just dash out of it. You also want to remember that not all these great builds are made to your playstyle. There's plenty of times that I will try a character out and I will go and use, somebody's top rated build, and they may be the #1 player in the world for that person, but I don't play like that. I don't have their skill set, so the build doesn't really work for me. But I always remember what were those core items that made that build strong, so that I can tailor it next time I play and create a build that is more sustainable to how I play. I hope this video helped you guys, and like I said, I'm going to leave the link in the description below. Follow me on Twitch, follow me here. I appreciate the like and subscribe. I will answer any questions that you guys leave in the comments. And if you guys want to play some games or need an invite, join my Discord. I will be more than happy to play with anybody and share my knowledge. I really do believe I have a unique perspective because I started from the very bottom, never playing a MOBA before. And I think a lot of the other videos that you'll see out here, which all have factually true stuff and great information, may be confusing and may not actually help you when you're kind of stuck in that elo hell. Like I said, every game in Deadlock is ranked, so it's important to make sure that you're not stuck in a 50-50 standstill. Otherwise, it will be harder to climb out of that rank when you gain those skills. I hope you guys like this, and please like and subscribe. I'll catch you guys on the next video. Peace.